It's time for the Roundup. This is Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. We continue to bring you the latest in Arizona high school football recruiting every week and some big news to get to off the top. We've seen a lot of commitments come over the last couple of weeks. This time, two of them happen in-state. The University of Arizona adds two more players. They now have 9 if you include high school and JUCO. Here locally, the first one, offensive tackle, one of the best on the West Coast, Lateef Freking out of Centennial.
Yeah, big kid. When I think left tackle, I'm thinking of players like Lateef Freking. He's 6'5", 250 pounds right now. He's a little bit light, but once he's going to be able to bulk up in the weight room, he's going to be 295 pounds and super athletic, and that's why this kid was so heavily recruited. Schools like Washington, ASU, Oregon, Oregon State were also in the mix for Lateef.
And then the other player that U of A added, another offensive player, they already have from South Point, Cameron Denson. They added his counterpart, the guy opposite him on the wide receiving end, Kalon Dobosque.
Yeah, he committed to U of A right after their win over the University of Utah on Saturday night. He's a player that also had offers from West Virginia and Oklahoma State, two very big programs. So getting the local player right down the street was huge for the U of A.
Dobosque having a fantastic season down at South Point that are looking to do big things, state championship on their mind. So Jason, U of A adds these two recruits. What kind of players are they adding to their program?
Yeah, like I talked about Freck, he's a kid. He's not ready to play right away, but most offensive linemen when they go to college are not ready to play. But once he ends up bulking up, this is a kid that could be a 3-year starter, all Pac-12 type of player. Dobosque fits into Rich Rod's system very, very well because he's one of those smaller slot receivers like they got in Nate Phillips and in Devontae Neal, who'll be playing next year. So Dobosque is a player that you get him the ball in space and then let him make a play.
So there you have it. Those are the commitments that have happened over the last week, both of them going to the in-state University of Arizona. Now let's get to some of the offers, and we're going to start with if maybe the premier team in Division III right now, the front runner, Desert Edge. Two of their players have new offers that have happened over the last week. The first one, Ishmael Murphy-Richardson, who quietly is one of the most recruited player in the state.
Yeah, and he deserves it. He was offered by Missouri and Nebraska. Add that to his other offers, both in-state schools, USC, Oklahoma. He's completely blown up. He's about 6'4", 210 pounds. He's an outside linebacker. He played some wide receiver last year, but he's playing all outside linebacker this year, and that's what I think he is at the next level.
And as you can see from that video, he catches like a wide receiver from that linebacking position. The wide receiver, though, on their team that's one of the nation's leaders in receiving is Elijah Marks, and he picked up another offer.
Yeah, finally starting to get some heat, recruiting-wise. He was offered by NEU. He also has an offer from Idaho. Talked to Coach Welbrock. He told me a couple other schools are still on him. University of New Mexico is one that's really on him hot.
Let's get to a couple more offers. Let's go to the East Valley now, where Quinn Bailey, the left tackle for the Higley Knights, is having a great season. And you can see it here in the video. He picked up another offer.
Yeah, he was offered by BYU. Bailey is also an LDS, so BYU might end up being in the mix for him. But there's also plenty of other big schools that are still really, really heavy on Bailey, including U of A, Washington, Oregon, or some.
And then John Jackson in Tucson. We talked about him last week. Having a great season for CDO down in Oro Valley, he picks up another offer.
Yeah, it was offered by Portland State. It is his 7th offer. What I like was the quote that John told me is the coach there told him that you're a program changer. If you come to Portland State, you're going to change our entire program. I thought that was a very cool quote.
And then finally, the last offer to get to this week, the first offer for a player out at Williamsfield. Williamsfield coming off of a statement win against Queen Creek last week, and their tight end, Luke Petruzzi, picked up his first offer.
Yeah, it was offered by New Mexico State. I like this kid. He was a left tackle last year, was an all-section player. Coach Campbell says, hey, I'm going to take my best offensive lineman, move him to tight end because I think he'll get more recruited as a tight end. 6'3", he's 255 pounds. New Mexico State first offer, but UTEP, Montana, and plenty of Ivy League schools are looking at him because he has well above a 4.0 GPA.
Yeah, smart kid, Luke Petruzzi, for a very good Williamsfield team, one of those teams that look to combat Desert Edge for that state championship crown. That's it for the offers. Let's get into now the recruiting roundup player of the week. And this is a guy, Jason, who there's been a long line of great quarterbacks at Mountain View High School, but this kid set a record in passing yards last week.
Yeah, John Clark threw for 423 yards and 5 touchdowns in Mountain View's win over rival Mesa High. But when you talk about quarterbacks at Mountain View, Joe Germain, Max Hall, John Beck, some very, very good names. And Clark's going to put his name in the record books next to those players.
Now, this has been the year of the running back, but some of the quarterbacks that have been on display this season, which we've seen in the Roundup Player of the Week's category, just Josh Eckley, Bryce Perkins, now put John Clark in the mix. There's some great quarterback play here in the state.
A lot of players putting up big-time numbers, and I'm happy that we're able to spotlight these kids.
So that's it for this week's edition of the Roundup. Make sure you continue to stay with us as we every week bring you the latest in Arizona high school football recruiting. That's Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. This has been the Recruiting Roundup on Sports360AZ.com.